like to say something. When I started doing storytelling in Argentina in 2019, if you were to tell me that 4 or 5 years later I would be here in my first festival, storytelling festival in the US, I would thought you were joking. So I'm really glad. I want to thank Nestor for the opportunity, my fellow storytellers, and all of you. Thank you so much. As I wait in line for the next available cashier at Marshall's a few blocks away from my place, I promise myself this time I will not get a call. I will walk to the next available booth for me as soon as my turn arrives. I will strike some small talk with the employee, make sure he or she does not notice, and get the hell out of here. My turn arrives. I walk to this young girl who has a big smile on the face and that greets me with a, "Hi, did you find everything all right today?" I nervously answer, "Yes, I did, thank you." And as soon as I spurred those words, I know she noticed. And she confirms this by saying the words I don't want to hear. "Hey, what a funny accent. Where are you from?" Fudge. So this obsession of mine starts a few months before. My boss just lets me know that I'm getting transferred from the Buenos Aires branch in my job to the Chicago one, and I cannot be happier. Mainly because I'll get to experience the American dream. The idea that if you work hard enough, you will succeed and prosper in life. Very different from the Argentinian nightmare, which is basically that if you work hard enough, you may earn enough to pay your next rent. Now, this is a temporary transfer, but somewhere in my head, I start nurturing the idea that if I work hard enough, and if I prove that I'm a cultural fit for both the company and the country, my higher-ups may consider the idea of extending the transfer from a few more years or even a permanent move. But there's an issue. As soon as I arrive to the country, everyone makes me notice that I speak with an accent and that I sound weird. And this is frustrating to me because I've been studying English as a language for my whole life. My aunt is an English teacher who, when I was 3 years old, thought that the best way of keeping me entertained when she was babysitting me was making me do English grammar exercises. On top of that, I'm a 90s kid, so I was raised watching American sitcom in English. That was a great way of nurturing my knowledge of the language, as I heard every "how you doing" or "Serenity now" that came out of the TV. It's so frustrating that every time I go to the grocery store next door and a new employee asks me where I'm from after hearing me speak, I want to shout at them, "I live at the corner of Ontario Street and Fairbanks Avenue, 100 feet away from here." But I know the truth. Not as rude as the last employee who thought I was Mexican just because I told her I was Latino, but rude still. And this situation also repeats in my workplace, where my colleagues asking what every 3 sentences I say has become commonplace. And how can I prove that I'm a cultural fit when it seems at least that I cannot speak the language properly? So for me, the situation is reaching a boiling point. And I need to put myself on the line and prove that I can speak without no one noticing my accent or wondering from which third world country I came from to steal American jobs. So I decide to do this on my next storytelling show. You'll see, when I storytell, I rehearse a lot because it helps my words flow better. But this time it's different, because this time I not only rehearse, but I also look into Google for the exact pronunciation of certain ways. Not only English words, I'm talking American English words. And on top of that, I start using an app that registers my voice and tells me how American my accent is. I'm willing to be what John Wayne is for the US, but for American English grammar. And I go to this show, I perform, I do well, I'm proud of myself. Several members of the audience come over to me, congratulate me. But unfortunately, I will never remember what they say because I will fixate myself on one of the comments I received that night, which is, I love your story, but it seems you have an issue with the way your words flow. Why don't you get in touch with me? Before being handed a small business card from an organization that promotes adult literacy. And this is the straw that breaks the camel's back. Because I've been trying really hard to blend in. I've been trying really hard. And if someone from the audience has the need to come over to me and basically tell me, please stop doing this to us, that means that for you, I will always be an outsider. And I start playing with the idea of going to this organization and start going to classes for pronunciation and grammar, even though that would mean a blow to my self-esteem. I also talked this with family and friends who had been through several similar processes in these and other countries. And at the end, I decided not to do it. Don't get me wrong, I love living here in the US, a country where the American dream is still real for people like me, where good things are more likely to happen to hardworking people more than anywhere in the world. And I'm really glad to be living among you. But the way I speak is part of my identity. Yeah. Changing that is changing who I am, where I'm from, who preceded me in life. Changing that would be changing part of my history. And I'm proud of being this guy that dreams in both Spanish and English when he's sleeping. That he may be talking with his Latinx friends and out of nowhere whispered a phrase in English. Or he may be working with his American co-workers and when he is trying to approve of something someone said, says, perfecto. Because esto es lo que soy y así es como hablo. This is who I am and this is the way I speak. And as I would never correct an Italian American living in New York by telling him that the correct way of saying it is, how are you doing? I hope that the way I speak is enough for you. Because a few weeks ago, I was walking with some colleagues from work, from where we had lunch to our workplace, and I asked them, I wonder how funny I sound to you when I'm speaking English. And one of them tells me, not that bad, your English is really good. And for me, that right now is enough. Thank you.